Our next project is dealing with abstract art. So we're going to talk about the difference between objective and abstract art. Objective art is something, when you look at it, you can recognize it right away. It's recognizable, it's something that you've seen before. So if you can think back to our animal grid drawing in our surreal landscape, you look at those drawings and you can tell right away what those things are. So it represents something that we have seen before. So we can tell, even though this is in a collage style, we can tell right away that that's a koala and that's a dog. Looking at these three artworks, which one isn't objective? So objective, again, is something when you look at it, you can make something out of it and you recognize it right away. So we can recognize that this is a horse and a lion, and this middle one is actually not objective art because there's nothing in that artwork that we can really, that we recognize right away. So that's abstract art. Abstract art is non-objective. So an easy way to remember this, objective versus non-objective, is I had a student one time say, for me to remember the difference between abstract and objective is non-objective means it is not an object or it's abstract. So it's kind of the opposite. We don't look at it and we don't say right away like, oh, that's a koala. We look at it and we're actually taking a step back and we're focusing on things like line, shape, color, texture, or space. So kind of the basics of art rather than looking at a realistic picture. Abstract art, you can do so much with it. It's very flexible. And you don't have the pressure of creating something realistic. So with the grid drawing, there was pressure to make it look like the animal that you were observing. Where with abstract art, you can just do a lot of simple things like this and figure out how to pair them together to make something interesting. So collaging oftentimes is associated with abstract art because you are assembling things, cutting up pieces of paper, using multiple types of media, and putting it together to create something a lot of times abstract. So collage uses mixed media, so paint, pencil, pen, graphite, any of these things. You use multiple types of media and you pair them all together. You can also think about the different types of surfaces that you use these media with. So painting on top of found papers like magazine or newspaper, paper bags, stuff that you find around your house that you wouldn't usually use to create art. But it's just a really simple and flexible way of creating art. And there's a lot of experimentation, which I love in collage. Collage is, like I said, very flexible. You can layer things, you can take things away, you can kind of have things showing halfway through. It's just really neat. And you can also give the illusion of depth at the same time. Even though this is something that maybe we don't recognize right away, it has the illusion of space and depth. So now I need you to write down these things into your sketchbook notes. So we are going to be looking at rhythm, which is a principle of art, so you can put it under that column, principles. So rhythm is regular repetition of elements such as line, shape, and form. Creates interest and consistency. So I think of rhythm as very similar to pattern, except with pattern, so I have an example down here of pattern, you can tell exactly what's going to come next. So you know for certain what's coming next, where with rhythm, there's a little more flexibility and a looseness to it. So you have the consistent shapes and movement, but you don't have exactly what's coming next, if that makes sense. Next one is emphasis, which is a principle. So emphasis is the creation of a focal point in an artwork. Emphasis draws the viewer's eye to a particular area of the artwork first. So if we're looking at these two, our eyeball goes directly to these things that pop out in the artwork. So basically you are emphasizing an area in the artwork, making it stand out. This is not an element or a principle. Composition is the placement or arrangement of visual elements or ingredients in a work of art arranged using conscious thought. So I love this example right here. These are all kind of using the same lines and shapes in it, but it's just deciding on how to arrange them. And that's exactly what composition is. It's how you decide to lay out your artwork. So if I use the word composition, that is how you chose to lay out your artwork. So we are going to eventually be creating our own abstract collages. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to get started on composition sketches.